Hello everybody, my name is Stratnos, and today we have the War Within Season 2 Turbo Boost announcement to discuss here. So let's just go line by line. There's going to be a lot of analysis in this particular video. We're turning things up a notch during War Within Season 2 with increased rewards and improvements to help you gear up your warband with what we call Turbo Boost. During this event, hero and myth track upgrades will extend from 6 to 8. The cap for crests is lifted. And Valor Stones become Warbound for the remainder of the season. Mythic Plus drop rates for Warband until equipped gear are also being doubled. Okay, let's go line by line with these different things. Hero and Myth tracks extending 2 upgrades midway through the season. I think this is a great idea. I think if this happened every season, this would be great. The longer Myth track already has a nice benefit compared to before, back when it was a 4-step track, of helping kind of nerf the raid, and it makes it so that there's sort of longer in the patch that you're gearing up, and I think both of those are fine. I think there are definitely some people that preferred being done gearing faster, but the system as a whole is, I think, generous enough that you're still done gearing relatively quickly if you're a super turbo, min-max player, and if you're not, you're likely gated by the amount of myth items you have rather than how deep their track goes anyways. And I think, this adding something like this, especially the fact that it also applies to the hero track midway through the season, is really, really good. Uncapping crest is great as well. We're reaching the point in the season where a crest cap has relatively few people that it's continuing to impact. Not right now, but in a month's time, we're going to be entering this sort of point where the only way you won't have enough gilded crests is because you spent a bunch of them on making things hero 5 out of 6. You spent a bunch of them on crafts in redundant slots. It's usually just not going to be true that you can be sort of capped on gilded crests and have places that you want to spend them later in the patch. Now, adding the extra 2 upgrade tracks is going to make that something that would happen for people again. So I think removing that cap is definitely going to be nice. But it's one of those things where it's like, this is nice. It's not super... The only thing that it actually makes it super important for many players is going to be this track extension, because as we enter the middle of May, that is going to start to be the point where, a lot of people are going to be gated by the amount of good myth items that they have. Not an awful lot of people are going to be gated by the amount of gilded crests that they have because of the cap in the middle of May. Usually it's going to be people are going to have half of the crests in the cap, and crests are going to be gating them for that reason. Something like that. But still, another good change here, and definitely paired with this, I think a necessary change as well. Valor Stones become Warbound for the remainder of the season. Now, hopefully this also means uncapped Warbound, and you can just bring Valor Stones up to, 5,000 on one character, not have to worry about kind of juggling it around, so you only ever have 2,000 or less on each character, right? And making sure that if you're earning Valor Stones, you transfer them to whichever character needs them first. I don't think there are a lot of Warbound currencies that have a cap associated with them, so I'm assuming that cap is also going away for Valor Stones. If it's not, it really should. But even if it doesn't, the fact that it's Warbound means that effectively the cap is gone, because you can just shunt them off to your alts, and then you sort of are saving them up over there. So that's good. Again, another thing where it impacts relatively few players. It's just if you're turbo gearing up a new character, you have 4 pieces of gear to upgrade, all of a sudden you can go from 2,000 to 0 Valor Stones, and that really sucks. Making them Warbound will fix that case for almost all players, because most of the way that you can spend a bunch of Valor Stones really quickly involve cases where you're getting crest discounts, which means that you do have other characters already. So great change. One that I think is an inspired change, and I hope they do for future seasons. And then I would say 2 good quality of life changes that follow it. Mythic Plus drop rates for Warbound until equipped gear are also being doubled. Great. Dropping some Wooey gear from M Plus is definitely nice. Dropping from the raid, also nice. It feels like this raid is pretty generous with the Wooey gear. Maybe that's just I've been getting kind of lucky, but I've gotten a few nice items of Wooey gear, and getting them from M Plus as well. Also going to be nice. They only ever drop at champion track from M Plus, if you would be getting hero track from the end of the dungeon. So it's not too powerful, but it's definitely still nice. It's nice to get some of these extra pieces, and it can help you be like, okay, maybe this character, this alt now is getting sent a couple pieces of Wooey gear, and it feels a lot better. Okay, new weekly quest. Take up a new weekly quest to defeat 4 raid bosses from Liberation of Undermine. Earn 1 puzzling cartel chip per week with a maximum of 6 chips per character. So, and then what do these puzzling cartel chips do? Visit Consultant Rexy in Dornegal near the vault to purchase a select group of carefully curated items from the Liberation of Undermine, such as weapons, trinkets, and other special items. So presumably like the Test Pilot's Go Pack, I guess the Test Pilot's Go Pack and the Jasper Diamond are the only other very rares this time around. Each item can be purchased with 3 puzzling cartel chips. Players can purchase mythic and heroic gear, but will require the associated boss to have been defeated at least once in any difficulty to purchase hero track gear, and at least once in mythic difficulty to purchase myth track gear. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack here. This is a return of a system that happened during Dragonflight Season 4 and Shadowlands Season 4. Both of those were seasons that were kind of weird, so they gave us this sort of generous system called Dinars, and then so they weren't actually Dinars in Dragonflight, but everybody called them that. So if you hear people talking about Dinars, that's what they're referring to is this system here. And this is a dramatically less generous version than either Shadowlands or Dragonflight. Way number 1 is that it's less generous. It's happening midway through the patch. You're going to be earning these chips on Renown level 14 and 17, which when they initially had this on PTR, it was Renown 17 and 19. So it's slightly faster than that, but it is, those are going to be the weeks that this translates to, because it's not May 14th, right? It's May 20-something, the end of May, once you actually can turn in this quest 3 times, that you'll get your first purchase, right? Because you need 3 to purchase something. You can only purchase 2 total things from this. So if you're somebody who wants House of Cards, Eye of Kazan, Test Pilot's Go Pack, Jasper Diamond, right? And then say a weapon of some kind from the last few bosses, right? Whatever Galley Tech limited edition you can get from the last few bosses. That's like 5 things that you want. Now, obviously, you can look at that and you'd be like, okay, we probably don't need Test Pilot's Go Pack, whatever, right? We need 4 things then. Maybe you can be economical again. Maybe one of them dropped for you from the raid. But realistically, a lot of players are going to be in a spot where it's like, okay, I'm going to have to pick 2 of these. One thing that I think is going to kind of suck with this is like, Eye of Kazan is probably on the chopping block as something you wouldn't buy because, this late in the season, boss fights aren't lasting long enough anymore for it to be super high value. It's not as good an M+ because it falls off if you're out of combat for even like 10 seconds. So maybe you don't want to use it in keys. So maybe you don't buy the Eye of Kazan, but Eye of Kazan is probably the best one for week 1 of next season when boss fights are super long again, and it's just an over budget stat stick that you probably won't yet have replaced. So a little bit of a weird spot there. I feel like limiting to total of 6, I don't see what this accomplishes given the restrictions they're already putting on this system of like, hey, you have to have killed this boss to get it on hero track, and you have to have killed it on mythic difficulty to purchase myth track gear. This restriction seems like one that would make sense if you didn't have this restriction. If it was like, hey, everybody's getting 2 free pieces of myth gear, like, okay, I could see why that's 2 and not infinite. But given that you have to have killed the boss to be able to get the myth gear, I feel like this is unnecessarily stingy. Although, if you gave me the choice between changing this or changing this, changing the myth track requirement, I think I would probably change the myth track requirement. I think this is also unnecessarily stingy. We're talking about it's gonna have been 3 months into this patch by the time the system comes out. Do we really want to tell people like, okay, if you've been playing this patch for 3 months, you've been raiding enough to kill 4 bosses in Liberation of Undermine every week, and you haven't yet killed the bosses on Mythic? I don't know, it feels unnecessarily stingy to me. Like, I think that this should say heroic difficulty. I think you should have to have killed the boss on heroic difficulty to purchase the myth track gear. And any difficulty to purchase the hero track gear, I think, is fine. I think requiring you to actually go in and kill the boss, that's fine, right? You could do that on LFR if you're not a raider or something like that. I think that's fine, but I do think this should say heroic difficulty. And I say that as somebody for whom this specific implementation is going to be really good for me personally. Because for me personally, selling Mythic Galliwix is extremely easy to do, and also is going to be extremely lucrative because a lot of people are going to want it. And they're also going to want Muggsy and One Arm Bandit if this doesn't work like the Great Vault. Like if you actually need to kill Muggsy and Bandit to get their loot in the pool that you can purchase with Dinars, which I assume it does require the associated boss to have been defeated. So yeah, I mean, raid sales are going to be extremely... The price on raid sales goes down over time, but I suspect it's going to jump right on up now that this announcement's coming out, with this being how it works. And so for me personally, I'm going to make a lot of gold doing this, but I don't think that I would rather them change this still. I think this is not... it's not like... It's one of those things where it's like, okay, clearly they feel like they need to turbo nerf Dinars to bring them into a regular season. But, man, it seems so... it seems so, like, gutted compared to... Like, we're talking about 3 months into the patch instead of day 1 of the patch, right? You could start earning your Dinars in Shadowlands and Dragonflight. Only getting 2 purchased items compared to 3 in Shadowlands and infinite in Dragonflight Season 4, I think. Yeah, I don't know. It's tough. I think this is a mistake, though. The other thing that surprises me is, like, why isn't this on the raid renown track? You have to kill 4 raid bosses to progress this quest every week, which is basically the exact same amount that you need to get a renown track upgrade. I guess this is a little bit nicer if you're a returning player and you don't need to... You say you're renown 2 or something, you can just do this quest 3 weeks in a row and then get these quest turns in. But in any other case, it's much... The renown system has, it has catch up if you miss a week, which is something that this quest won't, right? If you forget to pick up this quest on a week, or you don't raid for a week, you're a week behind getting your chips, whereas with the renown track, that's not true. And it's, it's the exact same cadence as renown track. The only reason I could see for them doing this instead of that is because they want you to do everything on your character instead of on your alts, right? But it seems just so counter to the warband philosophy that has made the rest of this expansion so exciting for alt players. And again, with the whole killing the boss on Mythic, I assume this is a character requirement, not a warband requirement. If it's a warband requirement, it'll make even more people want to buy, Mythic Galliwix, I guess, but you'll need to do it less times per character, per account. But yeah, if this is a character requirement and this is a character requirement instead of a warband requirement, it seems like you're taking, the most exciting system for a lot of people that really get engaged with the game and are playing it for a long time and are continuing to play it into the 0.5 and the 0.7 patches. I feel like they deserve better than this extremely watered down version of Dinars, as like, okay, you are playing World of Warcraft in June 2024 or 2025 when, we haven't had an actual new content patch for ages, right? Like for 4 months. I don't want to say ages because the overall cadence of WoW content is definitely fast, but like, this is something that only will affect you if you're playing the end of the patch, not the start. And so I feel like it can be a little bit less stingy. The other thing, like there was a huge improvement available with Dinars, and decoupling it from the raid track. I think the one thing that I was kind of excited about that making possible was like, okay, maybe we can put M+ trinkets on this thing. M+ trinkets are such an annoying, right? Like there is no way to deterministically get a myth track version of an M+ trinket. You just have to hope you get it from the vault. And this seems like a perfect system to let you purchase myth track versions of whatever M+ item you need. And that is just still not an improvement that they're making here. So basically they took Dinars, they didn't make them better in any of the few ways that, would make them a lot better. And they made them worse in like 4 different meaningful ways this time around. Is it still a better system than a patch without Dinars? Yeah, probably. I don't know. I mean, it's definitely going to be nice buying your myth track gear. It's definitely going to be nice if you are like, there are some people who will be very happy because they didn't get House of Cards to drop. Say, not even the Myth Track version, right? Just the Hero Track version. It's like, hey, I really want a Hero Track House of Cards. I've killed One Armed Bandit 6 times across, 3 different difficulties or 2 different difficulties. Never dropped a House of Cards. Now I can buy one on the Hero Track. Like, yes, those players exist, and this is going to be great for them. But there are so many other players that this system is going to feel, even though it'll make their characters better, it's going to feel so much worse because of what it could be, right? We see Dinars and we think of what it could have been, and I get that they don't want that in a regular patch, but I don't know. I feel like if you're going to do it this late in the patch, you could actually make it strong and make it, not have this requirement. But again, I'm going to make a lot of gold, so I don't know. I hope they change this, but if they don't, at least I'll have a lot of money to drown my tears with, like that what was it, the Woody Harrelson gif. Is that the right name? I'm very bad at actor names. Okay, Delve Improvement. Get a leg up on adventure with a boost to Brand's experience, Delve Journey progress, and improvements to rewards from Delver's Bounty. So Delver's Journey is like this is the Delve Battle Pass that you just get some progress every time you do a Delve, and you get a big hit of progress for your first Delve of the week. It's increased significantly from coffers, troves, Nemesis strongboxes, and end-of-run grants. Okay, so if you haven't finished your Delve Battle Pass by now, which most people haven't, but if you've been doing a bunch of delves on a bunch of characters like me, you finished it a few weeks ago, you'll be able to prog that faster. Great. There's a pretty cool warband screen that you get from the end of this Delver's Journey, and I assume it's going to only be earnable this season, so I would say if you haven't, I would prog this Delver's Journey if it's not too far out of your way. To actually get that, just do one per week, do one Delve per week. You got a lot of bonus Delver's Journey from the Archaic Cipher Key quest that you turn in each week. You'll also earn more crests, Valor Stones, and an increase to repeatable earned crests across Delve tiers. So presumably this means how you can only earn 7 Delve key or 7 crests 3 times a week from doing the bountiful delves on tier 11. I think you get a little bit less gilded than that in some of the slightly lower tiers. But also some of the, there are some bonus crests that you can get, and looks like they're going to make those better. Those are already really strong. The amount of gilded crests you can get just from doing some delves each week, if you can do those high tier delves, is pretty high. And then there's also improvements to rewards from the Delver's Bounty. So the Delver's Bounty, if you do that on a tier 11, gives you 10 gilded crests and a Hero Track Delve item. I'm not sure what improvements are to be made from that. Are we talking about... I hope we're not talking about Myth Track Delve items coming from that, because that would be kind of crazy, getting some of the Myth Track Delve trinkets in an RNG fashion from that, but maybe more crests, something like that. I'm not sure. I mean, you already got a lot of crests from it, but maybe more crests at the lower delves that aren't just the tier 11s, making this... whenever I doing this on a tier 8 or something, maybe could give the same rewards as doing it on the tier 11, and this could be one of the things that doesn't improve from tier 8 plus. I'm not sure. And then finally, profession updates. Recipes crafted with the Spark of Fortune can now be further recrafted or crafted with an augmentation matrix, empowering the item up to 6 item levels. These augmentation matrices can be purchased from any enchanting supply vendor, such as I'm not going to read their names, but the enchanting supply vendors, right? The ones that you buy the enchanted crests from this season. It strikes me that this should maybe have been an enchanting recipe, because we already nerfed enchanting this expansion by making it so they don't craft the enchanted crests. But I guess a lot of people are going to want these, because every single crafted item you're going to want to recraft and get 6 eye levels with. This is definitely nice, and this actually buffs the crafted items compared to the items on the tracks, because unless this costs... I don't know what it's purchased for. If it's purchased for gold, then yeah, maybe you have to purchase this for 30 gilded crests or something, though, so that it costs the same as doing 2 upgrades on regular items. I'm not sure. Either way, though, yeah, this is nice. This just means that your profession items don't fall behind, given that the Myth and Hero tracks are extending, right? Because most people have crafted items either with the Enchanted Hero or the Enchanted Myth items. So, yeah, keeping those up 6 eye levels is going to be nice to keep up with the 6 eye levels that you're getting out of these 2 upgrade extensions. So, yeah, that's fair. This is the kind of thing where this showed some good forethought that they thought of this. So overall, a bunch of nice things are coming here with this turbo boost. It's going to feel like a pretty powerful end of the season in terms of just, a lot of seasons, your character's power level sort of tops out, and the only way it goes up in the 0.5 and the 0.7 patches is if you're, and this is for high-end players, right? Obviously, there's a lot of players who are just slowly gaining power the whole time. But if you're somebody who has reached your ceiling, right? You've been farming heroic raid for 2 months. You've been farming mythic raid for 2 months. Whatever your ceiling is, you're not going past it. So not somebody who's been doing hero raid for 2 months and then starting to do mythic, right? Because obviously those people still have some upgrades that they can find, especially if they get deeper into the raid. But especially with the way the vault works this season, where myth gear is pretty accessible from the M+ slots. Historically, a lot of characters would be starting to level out. Not in May. For a lot of people, it would be June, July, where your characters would be starting to level out. And this, even if you weren't leveling out, your growth would be slowing at this point. More and more of your vaults would be oh, these are 3 slots I already have. I'm taking a socket, right? This is going to turbocharge. I mean, Turbo Boost is an appropriate name here, where this is a lot of power level that's going to be, people are going to be spiking in power level on the 14th of May. If the Hall of Fame isn't closed that week, it will close the next week. This is a lot of extra eye level and, grindable because the crest cap is going away. So people are going to get a lot stronger with this coming out. I am just sad I'm sad to see the Dinars go this way. I think that there was room to make this one of the systems where you look at it and you're like, okay, this is along the lines of the War Within philosophy of being friendly to alts. And it looks like they've chosen not to do that this time, and I'm sad about that. I don't want to be too negative about it, because there's an alternate universe where they just never announced Dinars and we never got them, and people would be complaining less. And I don't like being a huge complainer about something that, if this wasn't here, this would still be a huge announcement, right? But I'm still sad. I can't not be sad to see Dinars come out this way. Hope you've enjoyed this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Try to be, friendly with your comments. There's going to be a lot of disagreement from different people about this, so, we're all coming from it. We're all coming at it from. Let's try to come at it from a fairly. It's hard in internet comment sections. I've seen the Wowhead ones on this post, and it's a little ugly. Let's try and keep that to a minimum in my YouTube comment section if we can. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.